Greetings YouTube. Today I'm going to be talking about a Kershaw, and this is the Thistle 3812. This is a manual knife, not assisted opening, dual thumb studs. I believe these are glass reinforced nylon. They have the K pattern on them. It says K all over it. Reversible pocket clip, deep carry, works quite. It's quite comfortable. I like this relief here. I think that's a nice aesthetic. I find that attractive. It has a nice swedge going almost the full length of the blade without making the tips thin. Overall, it's a very nice design as far as the package it presents. And the first thing you're all going to notice is that, what's that big button? All right, well, it's a manual opener, but it opens very quickly with a flick of the thumb. I like this blade shape. And again, because of this wedge only goes part way down, you still have a nice thickness all the way to the tip. So you're not going to have to worry about strength there. I like the stepped thumb studs. I find those the most attractive, and I think the least obnoxious when it comes to like deploying it out of your pocket. Also, the thumb studs do not come beyond the scales. Very important to my mind. I think when you have thumb studs going beyond the scale, you're going to have dragging on your pocket, particularly if you're wearing a pair of jeans like I do at work that has a thick roll at the top. Now, as I said, this is a manual opener, but this is the lock release. Now, I say lock release because it is actually not a button lock. Okay? Now, let me hold on a second. I'm going to open up a toolbox here and come back in a second. This is a button lock. All right, so we're going to open up this. Open up the button lock. Now the button lock functions. If you see in there, when I depress the button, it pushes the portion of the lock out of the way. See that going out of the way, which allows me to close it. And when I open it, here we go. Okay, that is a true button lock. The disadvantage of the button lock is it takes up a fair amount of real estate in the thickness of the handle. The scale has to be much thicker to accommodate that. This doesn't have that. So this is the lock release. So what kind of a lock it is? This is a liner lock. And there's a ball tension retainer on there, or ball bearing retainer, I apologize, which lets it ride and also lets it sit in the blade so it stays in place. Now what happens when you push this button, let me try to get that right in there. Push this button. See how it goes in? See how it goes in? It goes in, pushes that out of the way. You can then close it, and then you can do that. Now, obviously that's not how you're going to be doing it. When you do it when you have it in one hand, so you push it in. Once you get to that point, closed. One-handed, easy opening, easy closing. It's also very attractive. I think that it has that kind of moderately futuristic vibe to it. It's got 5 points, and I'm prone to 5-point stars. It has nice contouring, which I also like. It's very comfortable in the hand. It's a thicker blade. The handle itself is thicker than is perfectly ideal for me. I prefer a handle that is a little thinner. But that's a nice big wide blade. This is very suitable to a medium duty type of use, and again, nice lock up, not going anywhere, which I really appreciate. And this is a very slim, elegant design. Now, of course, the big advantage that a lot of people are going to notice right off the bat. So when I'm doing this, where are my fingers? My fingers are not in the way of the blade. Lots of people have a problem with liner locks because while closing them, your fingers are in the path of the edge. Okay, so no, didn't pop that one. Sorry, but here's a liner lock, and when you close it, my finger is in the path of the edge. Now I've gotten very practiced at this, so when I close it, my thumbnail acts as a stop, so there's nothing going to hurt me. Then I come up and I close it. But with this design, I don't have to worry about that. Disengage it, push forward, close. And because the relief is identical on both sides, hey, I got it open with my left hand. I'm not left-handed. So, can you close this left-handed? So you disengage it. So yes, you can. if I can do it left-handed, I feel that left-handed people will be able to do it left-handed because they're going to be far more dexterous with their left hand than I am because I'm right-handed. And because the clip is reversible, I think that this design, even though it is got the button on the right side, I think could be friendly to southpaws. It's not quite as an axis lock, obviously, which is a truly universal lock mechanism, good for right or left-handed people. But I think it is friendly to southpaws, which is important because they constitute 10% of the knife market out there. And we have a pivot screw here, and this is nice. I find that interesting. They had the divot here and the divot there, so it kind of echoes that design. That's a small touch, but I think it's quite nice because a lot of the time you just have a dome there. But I like the fact that it echoes that. I think it was very tastefully done. And I don't actually know what this is steel-wise. I wouldn't be shocked if it's 8 CR13 MOV. That wouldn't shock me in the least. Stonewash finish, hollow grind, comes with a decent usable edge, and again, it has a very attractive swedge that I happen to quite like. I also like the fact that because you have this here and this flat and this wedge, the varying planes on the blade I find attractive. So that's something that I can take into account. Now, for me, this is a little wider than I like, but that mechanism is a decent size, and because it's a decent size, it's very accessible to your thumb. I don't know if this blade will be in my regular rotation. I get a feeling that the strobe and the injection 3.0 are still going to be on my top list for carrying. But if I want another manual opener, this is one that I will definitely consider. And that locking mechanism is just so cool. Just to be able to show it off to people, you know, will be a bonus and something I might consider. I'm going to show this off. I'm going to carry this around so I can show people the cool lock on this thing. Another thing that I do like about this is they went a little extra effort and they made this spacer and they gave this spacer a little style. They put grooves in it. The grooves do nothing, but it is a little visual appeal, and I happen to appreciate that. Semi-closed construction, almost closed all the way up. And I think it's going to make it a little more difficult to clean, but not a great deal. There's a little jimping here, but it's very, very subtle. It's so subtle, I mean, I can barely get my fingernails in there. It's very, very subtle. And there is some here on the blade, but again, it is not overly aggressive in any way. And I think with the locking, see, I keep wanting to do the aligner lock, I'm so used to it. With the locking mechanism being what it is, I think having that right there is actually quite useful. So I appreciate that. So overall, the Thistle is a really nice design with one of the more unique locks I have seen in a traditional production knife, and I think it's an elegant design. With the liner lock on one side and the release on the other, each taking up a minimal amount of real estate within the scales, the sides of the knife, is just, I'm just amazed. I think it's a really incredibly good design, and I'm quite impressed. Kudos to whoever came up with this idea. It's very interesting. So there you go, folks. This has been the Kershaw Thistle.